Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're here for the first time. I am a competitive runner who is currently trying to make the best out of a very, very challenging winter for training. This video is going to touch on the training that I've been up to lately, and also will offer you some tips on how to run safely and still get some efficiency in. But first, let's take a moment for Dutton. When I woke up on Saturday, January 11th, and noticed that we had as much snow as we did on the ground and on the roads, I knew I would need to table my long run until the following day. My biggest tip for anyone who's wanting to stay consistent during the winter season is to be flexible. If you see that the roads are going to be treacherous to run on and it may be unsafe for you, it could cause injury, then it's best to just be ready to alter your schedule as needed. Having a good pre-run routine is very helpful if you are lacking motivation and you're just wanting to avoid it. If you have something to look forward to, then it's easier. For me, that would be having a cup of coffee with my collagen peptides, and also having a good breakfast, taking time to relax and reflect before I get out there. I also like to put monk fruit in my coffee. Monk fruit is a good option if you want to put something sweet in your coffee, but you want something healthy. And then I add a little bit of whipped cream on top. Since I was not going to be doing my long run, I opted to stick to my usual breakfast of 2 packets of the Quaker oatmeal. I personally like the cinnamon spice. And then I did have 1 blueberry muffin just to provide more calories prior to the run. Dutton and I have been slowly transitioning to more running, but the weather has just not been very conducive for it. The most we've done is maybe a quarter of a mile, but he loves running with me. Don't judge. We did still have the Christmas tree up last weekend, but I'm just someone who doesn't like to really let go of Christmas when I have taken so long to decorate. Another thing I enjoy having in the morning is the iced caffeine. I like it because I feel as if I'm multitasking by hydrating and also caffeinating. Another thing that just helps me too is knowing that I'm sharing my journey with so many other people. It's not just me. I feel as if there are other people with me on this journey. So that helps whenever I am lacking some inspiration on those more challenging days. Okay, Saturday, January 11th. I don't know why I even thought that it would be feasible for me to go out and do a long run today after getting a few inches of snow. When I woke up this morning and I looked outside and saw how much snow we had gotten overnight, I thought, no, heck to the no, we're not doing this today. Not today, Satan. So my husband's kind enough to take me over to the same neighborhood where I ran last week to just do a 55-minute run. Tomorrow should be better and safer for me to run. I'm sure when I get over to this neighborhood, I'm going to be running through a few inches of snow. I highly doubt the roads are ready for me, but it should be tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. Immediately, I noticed the roads were not ideal. I had to remember that it was not about running a certain pace. It was about getting the time in on my feet. That is one tip I'll start with for this run. When you're out running in these conditions, you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself to duplicate what you would do on a day where the roads are clear. Safety comes first. So as long as you're focusing on getting the time in on your feet, getting out there and putting in the work, you're going to benefit a lot more and get more out of it than you would if you tried to run fast and potentially risk getting injured. As for how you can approach a run like this, it's best to take maybe a minute or 2 to walk on the surface that you're going to be running. See how it feels. If you are walking and already starting to slide, you know that it's slick underneath. So make sure you run slower. Taking smaller steps is much safer than trying to take long strides. So if you're someone who's trying to work on increasing your cadence, these types of runs can really help you get to a point where your cadence will increase. If you're accustomed to running with your feet underneath of you, underneath of your center of mass, as opposed to out in front of you, that's going to be more beneficial. Additionally, I took time to locate parking lots where I could get a little bit of a break from running on that surface for such a lengthy period of time. And then, of course, I didn't have a choice. After a certain point, I did have to return to the roads. But then I would find some other roads where it was clear. Even if the roads look like they're clear, though, or not icy, I would not be that easily deceived because there could still be ice in certain areas. So I still took a lot of caution on these types of roads where I thought it appeared to be clear. Once I found a road that was relatively clear like this one, I did take a little bit more time to log distance on that road. I knew I would be safer. Even if it does get monotonous, there is a lot of security in knowing where you're running. And I also found this parking lot, which was kind of hilly, but again, it was cleared off. It was safer for me, and it gave me a break from running on that terrain for such a long period of time. This was toward the very end of my run, and I was meeting my husband who was further down the road. So I had to be very careful here because, of course, I was back in an area where the snow was more slick. He's waiting for me. Well, I made it back safely. That's always a good thing. And I'm also glad that I came to my senses and realized it would be completely absurd to even try to do a long run today. If I would have done my long run, I would have been out there for an hour and 40 minutes versus 55 minutes. This is what it currently looks like here in Morgantown, West Virginia. It's hard to tell from the view, but we've had several inches of snowfall in the last week. This is our fireplace pit area, which has not been touched, to give you some perspective on how much snow we've gotten. When I tried running through that neighborhood that I ran in last week, it was difficult because they had not really treated any of the secondary roads. Only a few of the main roads were treated, and I didn't get much traction. The snow was very, very slushy. So I took advantage of the few parking lots I found just to give me a little bit of a break. Then the last 5 minutes, I decided to return to the snowy part of the course because my husband was coming by to pick me up, knowing that I would be finished up with my run. I was feeling pretty good then, and I tried to get some footage of him as I was approaching the car, but then I actually started to slide into the car. I'm surprised that I didn't end up getting hurt because that was the second time during the run that I ended up slipping. It was very, very slick conditions for any runner today, but I'm really glad I got that done. Dutton, what do you think of all this snow? Maybe we'll do another walk later. How's that? To help me get through these more challenging runs, I also think about what I will be able to enjoy after the run. The feeling of accomplishment, going out there in less than ideal conditions can be very inspirational when you know what the reward is at the end of the run. I had my cup of coffee, my electrolyte water to prepare for my run the next day. I relaxed on the couch for a period of time before I then had an appointment at the spa, and then I knew we would eventually be back home by the fire. There wasn't much time to relax though, because I did have an appointment to get a pedicure over at the spa. On the way over there, I couldn't believe that we weren't even able to see Cheat Lake. It was completely covered with snow. Who is that? Who is that? Right here with the NFL today. Liking the running gear that you wear also does play a major role in how you're going to feel on your run. So I was looking forward to being able to don my Rabbit gear. Their gear has been so great for the winter weather. I feel so comfortable. There's never been a point this winter where I felt cold, and that has made all the difference for me. On days when I might be lacking motivation, I know that I'm at least going to feel comfortable once I get started. Made it. Roads look really good today, so it was a good call on my part to wait until today, but the motivation is not really there. The only reason why I showed up is because this is just a part of me. It has become such a habit, such a lifestyle, that regardless of how I feel, I'm going to show up. So we'll see how it goes. I'll take you guys along for this long run, and I'll talk to you in a bit. As you can see, the roads look much better on this day. Way more ideal for a long run day. That put me at ease, even though I was having a difficult time getting out of the car to start this very long run. I felt so much better knowing that I wouldn't have to worry as much about the surface. About 4 or so miles into the run, I noticed that my momentum was starting to pick up quite a bit. I was no longer feeling that fatigue, and it felt more effortless for me to continue running the pace that I had set for that day. This was another very hilly run, so that was going to impact my pace, and that's why I'm just so thrilled with what I've been doing with the lack of speed work considered. 12.43 miles, and what pace was that? 8:29. This was my fastest long run in several weeks. I have not been trying to run fast, and most of my long runs have been on very hilly courses. It's been a while since I did one on the rail trail. So I'm very pleased with the pace that I hit, and that I finished feeling as strong as I did. That was very surprising because I lacked a lot of motivation to get out here today. Now that I'm home, I feel even more excited. It's almost like I experienced a runner's high today. In fact, I wouldn't even say it was like I experienced a runner's high. I did experience a runner's high, and that would have been in the last few miles when I realized that this is a time I normally start to feel a little bit lethargic. Maybe I'm starting to feel the monotony of the miles and just the rigors of training, but instead, I felt so invigorated, so freaking pumped up. Maybe it was the music I had on, or maybe I just felt well rested. But either way, this was such a huge deal for me to get this done today. With only 3 runs in this week because of the weather that we had, having to readjust my training, and also just trying to overcome this last little bit of tightness I've had in my right leg, I could not be more pleased with the direction I'm heading. So now I'm gonna head upstairs, take a shower, watch some WVU basketball, and then I think I've earned a peppermint mocha latte from Starbucks. And my dog always deserves a pop cup. We'll be doing that soon.
Would you like a pop cup?
Oh, good boy. Thank you for joining me for this video. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be posting again in the next week about all of my adventures in winter training land. Have a good week, guys.